Hello, welcome back. Thank you again for being here and continuing to follow my story. I really do appreciate it. And if you have been following along for a while, you are here for a reason. Um, when we left off in the last one, I had been seeing Walter. That's the name I've given him. For then now going towards maybe 6 weeks, 2 months, or something like that. And we had a bit of a break because I had wanted marriage, and that's what I was looking for long term, and the reason why I went on online dating to find someone like that. Also, one of the instructions from my father was that I would find this person. I think that was the reasoning, one of the reasons for me coming to Maine. And if you kind of understand this, I don't like to use the twin flame thing because I think it's so taken out of context for the way it properly should be used in a spiritual sense. If you have not gone through an ascension journey, any relationship that you're coming into is not a true twin flame. Okay. Point blank. Sorry, not happening. You have to do the work. And the work isn't me just doing a little bit of spiritually awakening, and I'm doing some shadow work, and I call myself spiritually bound, and then I meet someone, and no. I mean, this is serious work that has taken me 9 years to go through. Anyway, sorry if you guys don't agree, but I believe me, I'm here to help those who are trying to understand their own journey by using the example of my journey. So he did come back and we kind of worked things out. Um, I don't know, he came over one day and I had made dinner for him, and we were kind of, so this is a whole nother thing. Um, I remember I had left work. I stopped at the grocery store, and up here you can buy like alcohol in the grocery store. Um, so I said, "Oh, is there anything you want to drink?" And he had told me what he wanted. So I picked myself up something also. Now, I never was a big drinker. I do, if you don't know, I studied wine when I was in New York City. I am classified as a certified wine I don't even know, wine person. It's been so long. I also went to school to become a sommelier. So, but I never went all the way through, but never got my certification. So I have a whole background in knowing about wine, about the different grapes, the terrain, the different countries, the processing, everything you can think about wine, I learned. The thing is, it's been about 15 years since I did that. So, and plus, I really stopped drinking um, the way I shouldn't say. I never was like, say, like, I love wine, but I know it used to, when I was really working out and stuff, it would slow down my metabolism. And would go hang out with my girlfriends and we would go out to a lounge and have drinks and everything like that. And there's that nice sensation after having a glass of wine and you're kind of relaxed and everything. And I never thought it was a big deal. So when we would get together, um, he would buy whatever he liked, and I would buy like a bottle of um, Pinot Noir, and usually that would last me like 2 times that, we saw each other. Like I'm really getting deep here. But this is all about really starting to understand going into your next life of what you're going to leave behind. That's why I'm giving you these examples. So again, never thinking it was a big deal. Actually, um, it was nice if I did have wine at home, coming home after a long week of work and pouring a glass and just relaxing. And I'm sure many of you understand that feeling, right? And just happy to relax and have that glass of wine. It seemed like about every time, like before I had met him, I hadn't drank in almost a year, since I had worked for the wine merchant in New York. And we used to taste wines, but nothing as far as me like drinking at home, when I was in my apartment in Queens. Anyway, I made him dinner. We had ate. We had a little bit of drink. And so I started to try to, I had told him previously that, I was very spiritual. And I think the hardest thing about being spiritual is trying to describe to someone what spirituality is all about if they don't have any background or understand it. I remember this one woman had said to me, she said, you're that new age stuff. And I'm like, new age? And then after I thought about it, I'm like, people don't understand that before there was religion, before there was anything else, there was spirituality, there was this direct access with the divine that we did not need a middleman, a go between person to have a direct um, connection with the ultimate maker of the universe. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing about this new age shit. I hate that. I really hate that because I think that kind of came up, I don't know, maybe 60s or 70s when it was kind of this um, kind of with the yoga and the bohemian and thing of that nature. And people kind of were starting to awaken again. And so they're saying, oh, this is something new. And nothing new. It's not new. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I had kind of been like kind of giving little breadcrumbs to him to try to get him to start understanding who I was. Because that's, as you see the title of my thing, I'm mainly spiritual. That's when I walk out into the world, I see myself first as a spiritual person, and everything that comes after that um, makes up who else I am. So I wanted to let him also understand that I am a psychic medium. Oh, I know what happened. I had some tarot cards on my desk here, and I totally forgot that I had them out. So he had glanced over and he goes, tarot cards? And I said, oh. I said, yeah. I said, well, I am a psychic medium and I read tarot cards. So um, he said, my mother and my aunt used to go see a psychic or whatever when I was young. And they were like really into, getting readings and stuff like that. So he understood like what it was about. So I said, well, I have gifts that were passed down through my grandmother, and that's what I do, you know. So he didn't seem to be weirded out or anything. And actually, later on, he said to me, he says, I really kind of think that I have something similar, like intuition. He said, nothing like what you have, but I feel like I have some kind of, intuitive hits sometimes. And I'm like, yeah, we all have intuition. We're all very um, intuitive. But the thing is, we can all really become psychic because we're all connected to the universe. It's just a matter of us bringing out those gifts. So I started to say, okay, should I really start to tell him about my story? And, we have been seeing each other now. It's almost 2 months, and I felt like it was a good time to kind of put it out there. So I said last year, I had left New York and I headed up here, and then I became homeless. Like I was sleeping in my car. And he kind of looked at me. And I don't know, up here, there is a lot of homeless people, and especially around the Portland area. And I feel like there's a big, how do you say that? Um, People don't respect them. And of course, it's hard to say, well, and we don't always know the reasons why people are homeless. That's the thing. We automatically assume that they just don't care, that they ended up on the street, that they're all druggies and stuff like that, which is not the case whatsoever. My circumstances, what happened to me. Just ran out of money. So So he even asked me, he said, were you on drugs or anything? And I said, no, no. I said, nothing like that. I've never taken a drug in my life. I said, it wasn't that kind of problem. It was a financial problem. He says, oh, we all have those. And I said, yeah. So he kind of sat there for a bit. And after having that little bit of wine or whatever I had, I was like, okay, it wasn't a good time to probably tell him because he's just kind of sitting there and he's not giving me any response back. Is he upset? Is he like thinking like I started to feel like dirty? So I was just like was getting going around to go sit next to him, and I just like looked at him and he's not giving me anything back. And I'm just like, forget it. Like I shouldn't even open my mouth. So I went in my bedroom and just sat on the bed. And I figured he would come in and say, no, no, it wasn't that. Maybe I misunderstood you, or I was just thinking of some circumstance or whatever. Because I know he had gone through a whole lot of things too when he was young. And so after 2, 3 minutes, I hear him get up from his seat and he walked out the door. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like we had just patched things up. And now this guy just walked out the door again. And like, well, not again, I should, because initially the first time I had left saying that, I wanted marriage. He didn't want marriage. This was not going to work. But now, this time he kind of just like didn't come to like console me or anything. And he just like kind of walked out the door and left, got in his truck and left. And I was like, oh my God, like this person and me, it's not gonna happen. Like it's not meshing. So again, we cut ties, and that's one of the indications of that running syndrome as far as a twin flame. Usually, mostly it's the masculine that's running away. And the thing is, probably they're dealing with a lot of things within them that may be triggered by other things that are coming towards them, if that makes sense to you. So I'm going to leave it there for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe.